Okay, so hello, this is Genevieve Fontana coming to you from Canisius University in Buffalo, New York, and you're listening to the Did You Know podcast. You might not know it, but we have eco-heroines around our campus working to make it sustainable for future generations. For each show, I will spotlight earth-friendly initiatives and sit down with the change-makers of our institution. Today we are spotlighting President Steve Stoute, the 25th president of Canisius University. Thank you so much for being part of this project and speaking with me today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be considered a change maker.
You are.
That's the first time I've been called that.
I'm sure that's not the first time you've been called that. You lie.
No, I can't remember. My memory's a little bit hazy. But no, I'm excited about our conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. So could you introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what you do at Canisius?
Okay, I'm Steve Stoute. I am the president of Canisius University. What I do depends on the day,
yes.
But I often say that I follow direction very well. So somebody tells me where to be, what time to be there, and what to say, and I just go do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my job in a nutshell, is to support this institution, our faculty, our staff, our students, do everything in my power to make this experience transformative, because that's what our students deserve from us.
Right. So. I was going to say, what don't you do? You do everything.
A little bit of everything. Jack of all trades, master of none.
So then what does your role entail as the president of Canisius University?
Oh, I can tell you what some of the highlights are. Spending time with students. That is always the thing that energizes me, no matter what the circumstances. Every day I try to carve out 20, 30 minutes in my calendar, no matter what, no matter how busy I am, to get out of my office and just go wander around campus, because being with students, seeing students, engaging with our students, that gives me what I need to be successful in this role. Strategic planning and fundraising and operational excellence and finances. I do all of the things, but most importantly, support our students. That's the thing that always vaults to the top of the list for me.
I appreciate all of your support and how I always see you around campus.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good. I'm glad you do.
Yes.
It's working.
So the theme of your presidency calls upon the entire Canisius community to rise, which is renew its commitment to justice, inspire a new generation of leaders who challenge the status quo, serve every person with love, and empower others to act the same. How do we rise to make change as a campus community?
That's a really good question, and I often reflect on the time I spent discerning kind of how to frame my presidency at Canisius, and so the staff asked me to give it some thought, and how would I put it into words, and rise is what came to me in those moments. And it was interesting, we had Mass today at Christ the King Chapel to both celebrate the Feast of St. Ignatius. Feast day was yesterday, and University Day, Canisius University today, and Father Fred Betty, our chaplain, a Jesuit, he quoted Pedro Arrupe, who was the superior general of the Jesuits a few superior generals ago. And he coined the term men and women for and with others. And what Father Arrupe said in that famous speech that he gave was, love of God that does not flow from justice for others is a farce. And so when I think about what it means for us as a university to rise, it is all about justice, and it is all about service of others. So everything in the theme of Rise is about how can we, as an institution, and people that make up the institution, faculty, staff, students, alums, everyone who loves Canisius, how can we rise to meet this moment? And it all starts with how do we bring about a more just society? Particularly for our brothers and sisters who are on the margins, particularly for our planet, which we did not inherit from the generation before us, which we steward for the future. And so I think about it very much in that context, justice broadly defined.
And I think that the Jesuit University, our university, I think that it hits home for so many individuals that are searching for their faith, because it's all about giving back to others, and that's something that everyone can identify with.
No, that's absolutely right.
So I know you previously worked at other institutions. How have you seen sustainability initiatives implemented at other schools, And how have you been inspired to bring their commitment to Canisius?
Yeah, I think that's really important, and something that I have learned is that at every stop in my professional journey, I have had a different and unique experience that have helped shape how I think about this work, how I think about our commitment as an institution. And one of the things that we did really well, particularly at my last institution, was engage our students in sustainability work, right? Because the largest subgroup, right, largest constituent group on Alien College campus are the students. Yeah. Right? So if we have 2,500 students at Canisius.
Right. Yeah.
All together, faculty and staff, less than 500. Right? So if we get our students passionate about sustainability and how they engage with doing sustainability work, we will make an outsized difference. Which is not to say the role of faculty and staff isn't important, but exponentially, our students will have a greater impact on our ability to achieve our sustainability goals if we introduce them to what we're trying to accomplish and get them excited, engaged, and passionate about it. And I know, because all the data and all the research tells us that this generation of students, this generation of your generation, yes, cares deeply about this planet and the state we will leave it in for the future.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that here. I mean, it shows how important it is to us and what we should focus on as an institution. So, what is the financial value of making sustainable choices on campus?
I think there's a huge value financially to making sustainability a priority and making decisions that are in line with a sustainable strategy. And this is kind of counter to what's happening in kind of the public sphere right now. So much is being talked about and written about ESG. So in a corporate context, it's environmental social governance as a way of investing or managing money, and unfortunately, it's been fairly politicized. So depending on which side of the political spectrum you fall on, you're either hugely in favor of ESG as a policy and a strategy, or you're unfortunately staunchly against it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's sad because it continues this chasm and this divide in our country and in our society about things that are inherently good. And the data tells us, the facts tell us, inherently good. And it is not, in a very Jesuit way of thinking, it is not a dichotomous choice. It's not either or. I think about financial sustainability and environmental sustainability as both and. Mm-hmm. There is a way to accomplish both. And we simply have to ask the right questions and discern the right path forward to support both the institution financially and the institution as a sustainable enterprise. And that requires us to really lean into who we are as a Jesuit institution, right? And to reflect and discern and to probe and to ask challenging questions. Challenge the status quo. Why do we actually do this? Sure. And because we've always done it isn't the right answer. It's not a good answer.
Yeah. And when we start to challenge the status quo is when we actually make change. So.
Yes, there's the change maker piece of it. See,
there you go.
You taught me something I didn't even know.
So I know you're committed to student success inside and outside of the classroom. How do you see Canisius University engaging with environmental projects and community-based sustainability initiatives?
Yeah, I think we have a huge opportunity to engage our faculty in this work, and I know there are a number of faculty members who are passionate about this and are doing research. And when one of the unique things I love about Canisius is when our faculty get involved in something, they bring students with them. Mm-hmm. And so that's not the case everywhere. And again, I've had the good fortune in my career of being at so many different institutions. And for our faculty, it is a point of pride. It is a commitment that our students are engaged in active learning, right? It is not simply theoretical. It is, you learn by doing. And so that makes the world of difference, because it empowers a new generation of change makers to then pick up the mantle and go even further in terms of the progress we can make. And so that's how we as an institution can start. It is take our academic expertise, take our commitment to academic excellence, engage students there so they see environmental sustainability and sustainability, broadly speaking, can be an academic pursuit, which perhaps in some cases, maybe in yours, will lead to a professional pursuit as well. And so that's one thing. And the second is community impact. And so just like our students are the largest constituent group on our campus, for us as an institution to really lead and to bring about change for Buffalo and Western New York, we have to do it in partnership with our community.
Right.
And so how do we find those organizations in Buffalo, in Western New York, that are equally committed or even more committed to sustainability than we are, build partnerships, build relationships to get our students involved and engaged, giving up their time and talent, but also to kind of exponentially lift sustainability as a core community priority.
Yeah, and I'm very excited with Shayna from the New Buffalo Institute. I'm very excited with her help about engaging the community with some of our initiatives on campus too. So that'll be really great.
Her work as executive director of the New Buffalo Institute will be critically important to our community engagement strategies. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how she does that work, and she's already making a huge impact.
Yes, I agree, and she has such a contagious energy like you do, so it's awesome. So I know how important your family is to you. Can you tell me how you raise your children to care for the earth?
That is a good question. And it's one of those things I've really enjoyed seeing how each generation kind of takes ownership of this. And my part in it is probably sending them to Catholic school, because they learn so much about the environment and sustainability at school. And so they will come home really excited to talk about why we recycle, or why we grow plants. We have a garden in the summer, and so why we do those things, and why fresh fruits and vegetables are important, and why is water important, and not wasting water. And so they get all of that at school, and they come home, and I could see in their interactions and how they talk to us as their parents that the wheels are turning. It's like, okay, and here are the little things. When you're brushing your teeth, turn off the faucet. Things you take for granted, just turn off the faucet. Don't waste water. And so we are very blessed that they get that at their school, at their Catholic school, and they bring it home excited about it, and ensure that we, as their parents, are modeling the behaviors they want to see.
They remind you, definitely.
They do, those little ones. They keep us honest.
That's wonderful. So you were born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago. You immigrated to the United States in 2000. From an international perspective, how do people take care of the earth differently? And has that changed your leadership style or how you live your life?
That is a really good question. It's interesting to think about. I've now lived here more than half of my life. And so from, I think, outside of this country, I think that the thing that I would point to as the biggest difference is scale. I think growing up in Trinidad, moderation. We eat in moderation. We live in so like I remember, SUVs aren't a thing, right? These massive cars that yes, there are combustion engines and fossil fuels and all of those things. Oil and natural gas is the largest economic sector in Trinidad. And so hugely important to one of your earlier questions, there's a financial element to it for the government and supporting the country and the economy of the country. But there's also this moderation and growing your own food and caring for the land. And so I think that's the biggest difference. It was hard for me to conceptualize, as a freshman in college or as a young professional, scale. Everything in this country is just big.
Right.
And Americans tend to like that, and not just in Texas. Like bigger is better. Yeah. Well, bigger is not always better.
Right. Yeah.
And I think you see that in European countries, right, where cars are smaller, family homes are smaller, so it doesn't take as much to heat and cool, and right. And so in American culture, the bigger the house, the better, the more success you've had in life. Well, that's not true in Europe. It's not true in the Caribbean.
Sure.
And so I think that's culturally, I probably would pinpoint those things as the biggest difference. It's being comfortable with moderation.
Yeah. And I think we live in such a consumerist culture here, and it's very wasteful. So you're talking about moderation. That's refreshing for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another piece that kind of drives some of that waste is the consumer culture that is, I don't want to say uniquely American, but it is kind of American.
Always wanting the bigger and better thing, like you were talking about.
The new iPhone.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, your iPhone from 5 years ago is perfectly fine.
Right, yes.
Still works.
Yes, until they don't get updates anymore, and they try to get you to buy something else.
Yeah.
Right?
They slow the batteries down. And, But nobody talks on the phone now anyway. They're just cameras.
Yeah. Or just texting and social media and things like that. Mm-hmm. So we all know that becoming a sustainable individual is a process. What are some things that you hope to implement in your life?
Oh, individually, I think some of the things for me that I need to continue to do revolve around kind of reusable. And so I don't always have my reusable water bottle with me, and so that's something I need to address. It's like, okay, just get more than one, so that if I leave one at home, I have one in the office.
Sure.
And so every time I have to get water and it's in a bottle, like a plastic, I just kind of cringe.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, that's my own responsibility, and I can fix that. And I think, so when I think about myself individually, is how do I have the least impact on our environment? And so water usage, food, I always try to manage. I'm always very intentional about where I eat and what I eat, so that there isn't any food waste if it can be avoided. And so it goes kind of back to my heritage and how I grew up. Moderation. Yeah. Moderation.
And then, are there any ways that Canisius can help you make these changes, or like reminding you to bring the water bottle?
No, absolutely. I think institutionally there is. And I'm excited about the Laudato Si platform and the work that Jen Lodi-Smith is doing in academic affairs to help kind of move us forward. And I think institutionally, those are the things we need to make easier for me, for faculty and staff, for our students. Access to reusable containers and access to recycle bins, and I think there are fun. One of the things we did at one of my prior institutions was make a little bit of a competition out of it. Yeah. Because for better or worse, we're fairly competitive.
Sure,
human beings are fairly competitive. And so a competition with some incentive at the end of it, whether it's in the residence halls, I don't know. There are so many ways to think about doing it, but how do we incentivize making sustainable choices?
Right, and we have such a big athlete population, so competition is definitely there. So then, what is your vision for sustainability on campus? And are there any plans for expanding the university's commitment to environmental sustainability in the future?
Yes, plans to expand our commitment, absolutely. I think we can always do better. I know as an institution, we are on the right path. So I am proud of us for that commitment and for continuing to live it. And we've done that by engaging with our partners. And so we were talking earlier about our partnership with Elbers, who does all our landscaping, and the fact that they use a plant-based herbicide. And through our partnership with Chartwells, they're doing so much in the dining hall and the food service program to limit food waste, to address food insecurity. One of the new things that we'll unveil, I think it will be ready this fall, is a farm shelf, I think it's called.
Yes, I'm very excited.
And so those types of things are commitments, ways we live out our commitment. And we can always be better. We should be very proud of what we do. Right? And so we have a partnership with a solar farm here in Buffalo. And most of I think it's a little known fact. Maybe it's not a little known fact, but most of the energy that powers the college, the university, sorry, most of the energy that powers the university is clean energy. And that's something we can be really proud about.
Right.
And we can continue to take steps and put in place programs and initiatives that will move us even further along this path.
Right. Yeah. And I know Cece said you're very excited about the digital business cards.
Yes. Yes. That's one of those things that I'm personally excited about. And we'll see how well received they are. But whatever we can do to limit paper, the use of paper and paper waste. And so Cece knows this from being in my office for a few months as chief of staff, but I rarely ever print anything.
Yes.
If I can avoid it at all, I'm not printing it.
Yes.
And then stacks of things show up on my desk for me to sign. I was like, I guess I can't completely eliminate paper.
She did say that. I was like, I printed this because all my devices are being used for this.
All over the place.
This is my only option right now, but but yes.
No, I think I have a note card somewhere. Oh yeah, I usually say if it doesn't fit on this.
Oh yeah.
This is how I take notes. This is how I write.
You're running out of space.
I write speeches. So speeches I give. If it can't fit on this, I don't need to say it. It's not that important. Or I don't need to remember.
It's just like the main point.
That's right. Salient points. Yes. And they can probably fit 12 of those on your
your
8.5 by 11.
Yes, you can. Yeah. And I try to do double-sided.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. I would like to cut down paper use as much as you would like to on campus. And then is there anything you'd like to add, President Stoute?
No, other than thank you. Thank you for being so passionate about this work. It means so much to me to see you doing this, and I can't wait to hear more of the stories from your change makers. This is exciting.
Yes, including you, change maker.
Yes, including me.
Yeah.
But I probably won't listen to myself because that's kind of boring and weird.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of other
folks. I'll listen to the others.
Yeah. You can listen to the podcast while you're doing work and signing all the papers that you're getting.
Well, don't remind me about that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
What's next?
What's next?
What's next for you on your sustainability journey?
Here or other?
However you want to take the question.
Well, I'm very excited about this podcast. And I'm just trying to connect people because I think that that's one thing that's lacking. Like, one thing that I did recently is I introduced Shayna to the garden groups because they're really looking forward to involving the community in the garden spaces. So I think, we have all these resources. We got to put them together.
Connect people. Yeah, to drive exponential impact. I love it.
Definitely. Yeah, so that's one thing, but there's always things going on.
Okay. Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And good luck this year.
Thank you so much.
You won't need it, but I know you'll do exceedingly well.
I'll see you around.
Yes. Of course you will. Thank you.
Thank you.